So the question being asked is, what is the Stevie Kidd Pathway? Let me take you to the end. Who you are today will no longer exist.
It takes a tremendous amount of courage for people to accept the premise that actually things are not the way that they want them to be, and to open themselves up, because Steve works with people in a very soulful way, and they go very, very deep, through someone's life. And it can be a very uncomfortable journey. It's a very emotional journey that people go on with him. And but my advice to anyone is absolutely to engage with him, and do so with an open mind. Expect the unexpected, and above all, be honest.
It is a unique journey of self-discovery. That's the best way I can put it. Whether you decide to invest in coaching in business strategy and neuroscience, or leading into the events such as Reach a Peak Scotland, it's a 2-year journey. A lot of people do have to realise that before they engage. You're developing yourself for, it's for life, but the Stevie Kidd Pathway itself can take up to 2 years.
So the context of what will happen in the Stevie Kidd Pathway is a simple one. If we think we're here, and then we emulate modelling, which is your role models. Your role models are here, here and here. The concept of the Stevie Kidd Pathway will do the same as what Dr. Bandler did to me. From this day forward, Stevie, here's your role models, here's your role model, here's your role model. But we're going to take you beyond your role model to sit here above us, and you're going to operate from a higher frequency. That's what the Stevie Kidd Pathway will do to you. How do you engage in such a pathway? Well, trust, honesty, rapport. And it's where we'll have an initial engagement. And it's both parties measuring one another. Has this person got what it takes to go from where they are to where they want to be? What I'm interested in is the destination and where they want to go. And when we actually remove ourselves from where we are, we then transport ourselves into the future to explore what amazing looks like. And when I sit back, and then I also see the state change, physiology change, language, tonality, pitch, everything change in front of me, there's only one question. I sit and I use a wee bit of humour, and I turn around and say, well, what stops you from going from there to there? Because think about it, the only thing that you have changed to experience that is what you've switched in here. The most exciting part of the Stevie Kidd Pathway is the next part after consultation. I love the second part, which is a life assessment, because when people sometimes will do it and will stand on a massive life wheel, sometimes we'll use VR technology for them to experience what amazing looks like. But what we're actually doing is we're taking a snapshot of what today looks like, and then we're taking a snapshot of what's amazing as I take them beyond that. So we get an acceptance of what today is, then we get an acceptance of what amazing is, but then we go a stage further. My objective then is to then start implementing 5-10 year chunks, and then it's about you then attacking the next 10 years. So the whole concept of what you're doing is evolving, and all these areas of your life are going at the one time. You know why? Because during the process of the pathway, your beliefs have been shattered, and you're actually starting to look at your future with conviction and believing with every fibre of your being of who you can actually become. So within the Stevie Kidd Pathway, we do something 3 times over the 2-year period, and that's where we incorporate brain mapping. We bring the science into the pathway. It's about me making and creating partnerships with people who can give us the science around which line within. So between me, James Roy, and the client, we then do a series of brain mappings over the 2 years, and then we do consultations, and we give strong recommendations of what to change. What we're actually measuring through the brain mapping is we're measuring the emotional state. We're measuring where you're actually functioning from within. So just to recap on the Stevie Kidd Pathway, it all starts with a consultation, then starts with a life assessment. At that part we're heading towards the brain mapping, but what we're doing is people are actually allocating time. The average time is anything between 4 and 10 hours a month over a period of anything between 1 and 2 years. And what are they aiming towards? All areas of their life, improving their business model. We're 6 months into the Stevie Kidd Pathway. What is the one thing I recognise? You've changed your lens. You've decided to put in multiple lens that you could have went through your whole life and not even looked through. But now you've realised that the lens you were looking through served you no purpose. You now realise that the lens that you're looking through now gives you a different meaning. You're now being drawn to the new meaning that you give to life, because now what you're doing is looking around the corner and actually seeing further. The fog's cleared and now you're realising what your actual potential is. You've now removed yourself from getting out your own road, and now you're ready to really live. So the Stevie Kidd Pathway is about endurance and psychology and entrepreneurship. By the time you reach the destination of the Reach Your Peak Scotland, what's Reach Your Peak Scotland? Imagine doing 90 coaching sessions in a week, because that's what you're doing. Imagine at the end of the event what you've did is you've destroyed the whole belief system that you have, you've changed your whole blueprint. How's that possible? Because you've done six hills in one event and you've been awake for nearly 40 hours.
Well, I've never done 29 hours with 14 different kinds of weather and having to be ready for everything. It was 72 degrees Fahrenheit at the beginning of Ben Nevis that day, and it was below zero with 50 knot winds on top of Ben Nevis that day. I'd never experienced anything like that. Having to be prepared for anything and dealing with whatever comes at. So to me, Stevie's created just a totally unique event in the world. And I've Google searched a lot of crazy events, and I have not found one that asks you for a week of commitment, training to lead up to it, and to sit and do the cerebral thinking part, and then go do the physical demanding part. And to me, it's unique in the world. I love being part of Reach Your Peak.
Here's the thing, the life assessment that you've mapped out, well, you did one when you started engaging with me. You've now done one to go into the Reach Your Peak event. Here's a very visible indicator that I see. How you tell the story of your life from consultation stage to this point is completely different. And actually, people don't recognise that until I point it out. So there's a formidable change. Consultation stage to when you reach your Peak Scotland, how you view the world through these lenses has changed dramatically. So there's 4 events to the Stevie Kidd Pathway. There's Reach Your Peak Scotland, Reach Your Peak Kilimanjaro and Reach Your Peak Everest Base Camp, and then we've just added a further one which is called the Reach Your Peak Ultranet. Every single one of them destroy beliefs, and every one of them allows you to evolve and grow to actually reach your absolute potential and who you can become. At this stage, what I'm finding happens is people are flying. It's like the eagle off the cliff. They're now finding what they were born to do, and they're actually, as well as going through the pathway, they're actually forming a new blueprint that sits alongside it. And then when we actually reflect and look back to who they were when they first engaged, or they first made that call, they had that first consultation, they are now fully recognising. But do you know where the magic comes from? The magic comes from the amount of change that's happened in such a short period of time.
The people that attend the Reach Your Peak event or embark on the pathway, possibly the most powerful thing of all for me is that they then go on and change other people's lives.
If somebody's been alive for 50 years and they've lived a certain way, but all of a sudden they engage in the pathway at the age of 50, by the time they get to 51 or 52 and they've done the pathway, how do you think they view the last 50 years of their life? Sometimes people can get angry, frustrated, but sometimes people can become deliriously happy because they listen to the calling. They dipped their toes in, but then they were all in. And then their life truly changed beyond their comprehension. And right throughout the whole pathway, my job is to do one thing: pay attention to what they're sliding in. It's my job just to keep on sliding in, because my job is to create a life for them that is a truly world-class legacy.
If you are someone who's looking to engage in the Stevie Kidd Pathway, the best advice I can give you is do not look back.
Go on the journey with him and you cannot fail. Change will never be as slow again. It is just happening all the time. He is growing, he is learning, he is teaching his concepts, his philosophies. That's why Pathway is a good description of it. There is no end to it. It is a life journey that you will go on him, and it will deliver extraordinary things.